So I've got to go. So Brian Hoyer suffered a broken left arm last Thursday against the Packers and is expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Max Kellerman, do you have a problem with Cutler's comments?
I don't. The way I read that, I actually don't. It doesn't come off as whiny to me or like he's complaining about anything. The fact is he lost his job. Hoyer was playing really well. Now the other quarterback's hurt. He even refers to him as Foxy. I know you could call maybe everyone, it doesn't matter if everyone calls John Fox Foxy. Even that tells me it's like familiar. He's not going at his coach. He's not going at the organization. He's not pointing fingers. He lost his job. Now he has it back due to injury. So ask him what's going on here, and he's going to tell you. Other guy got hurt. You got to go with me. What choice do you have? And maybe it's because he's been paid, Stephen A., that he doesn't come off as whiny to me as, say, a guy like Fitzpatrick, who didn't get paid and kind of, after he gets the job back because of injury to Geno Smith, sounds like he's complaining after the game. Residual effect from the offseason where they didn't get him the contract because he's not good enough to earn it. Maybe Cutler got the contract so he feels better about it, but I don't mind the way he said it at all, as opposed to especially the way Fitzpatrick sounded.
Well, I mind it, but that's because I mind everything about Jay Cutler. I mind the way he looks. I mind the way I mind the way he acts. I'm serious. I mind the way the stuff comes out of his mouth. When I'm talking about his looks, I'm talking about smugness. The fact of the matter is that Jay Cutler came across as somebody that basically looked at John Fox like, what choice do you have? That's right, I'm here. So what? Because he sounds like somebody who's removed from caring. Now, I don't know that to be true because I don't know him from a can of paint, and I understand that. I'm not his wife, I'm not his child, I'm not his teammate, I'm not his coach, but Jay Cutler has been a walking piece of mediocrity for quite some time. And I've been on the record calling him the worst quarterback in football, not because of his athletic ability or his ability to throw the football or anything like that, because I know he's better than most in that regard. Why I call him the worst is because he is devoid of leadership ability from a position that requires exactly that in order to galvanize the troops around them and maximize the potential that exists within the team. That's not Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler is a guy that signed on the dotted line that makes sure he shows up to work so he can sit up there and say he did his job so he can get his check. He is not somebody that comes to work every day hell-bent on winning and is sick to his stomach because his team doesn't do it. In 9 full seasons, as a starting quarterback in the NFL, he has produced a winning record 3 times. That is it. He is who he is. The sooner he gets the hell out of Chicago, the sooner they can start rebuilding their franchise and moving in a forward direction. Because unless you have already you already have an established culture, a la New England or somebody like that, Jay Cutler can do nothing but take you backwards. It is just that simple to me. That is how I view him, and that is how I view everything that is associated with him as a football player, not as a person off the football field, but as a football player on the field and anything associated with being a quarterback. He is not somebody that I would want on my team. That will never change, and that is the way that I feel, period.
Well, one thing that we certainly don't tolerate on First Take is smug people, Stephen A., so maybe you're right. How dare he look smug? How dare he look smug, especially with the people on this show. You and I talking about a quarterback. That's exactly what we should get on about.
Definitely
a smug attitude.
You don't look, hold it. You don't look smug. You're a choir boy. I will accept the smug tag.
I don't know about that.
You are a choir boy without question. But me, could I say I'm smug? Sure, but here's the difference. Here's the difference. My winning percentage far exceeds Jay Cutler any day of the week.
Well, not since about, 3 or 4 months ago it hasn't. Something happened where you've been taking a lot of L's.
The facts
They're looking at your mechanics, how many steps you're dropping back. Are you keeping your eyes down the field?
You know what the trick is?
They're blaming your offensive line.
Here's the deal.
Why is he taking so many L's?
Here's the deal, Max. You try to fool our audience by wearing what looks to be the same suit every day so they can act like it's Groundhog's Day. When you have a moment, they can sit up there and say, well, that's the same thing. He must have won, but it ain't going to help you.
When you guys clown each other.
They know better.
Everyone knows.
They know better.
Everyone knows the best dressed guy on TV.
Boy, he's lucky. He's lucky. He's lucky my voice is messed up.
The egos I deal with.
Lucky.
Do you see these egos I deal with, people? You too. All right.
It's one thing to get hit. But it's another thing to walk right into a punch you didn't see. He got so schooled. Put Manny Pacquiao to sleep. Pacquiao actually looked like he quit. Are you okay, Manny? The boy got schooled. Obviously, he desperately wants to redeem himself. This boy got put to sleep. Manny Pacquiao didn't have anything. So why Manny Pacquiao continues to bloviate to the public about a potential rematch just speaks of desperation.
We would like to welcome another special guest to the show. He's here to discuss the big upcoming welterweight title fight between Stephen A's favorite Manny Pacquiao and Jesse Vargas. We welcome top-ranked promoter Bob Arum to the First Take show. How we doing?
Hey, good. Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for being with us. Bob, I want to start with another fight, though. Do you think there's still a chance we could see a Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao rematch?
You know, that's really unfair to even talk about. Floyd has said that he's retired, and to speculate that he might come back, that's just out of order. I mean, it's really up to Floyd whether he's going to come back from retirement, and I have absolutely no idea whether he will.
Well, Bob Arum, I want to move on anyway because I want to talk about Manny Pacquiao for a second. He said that he was going to retire, but now he's back fighting. Why is that, and what is his ultimate goal?
Okay, first, Stephen, you have to realize what's happening here. What's happening here is something that I have never seen in 50 years of boxing. Manny Pacquiao was elected to the Senate in the Philippines. There are only 24 senators. 12 get elected every 6 years. Before he was elected, he promised the Philippine people that unlike Marco Rubio in the U.S. Senate, that he would make every Senate session, wouldn't miss one. So he's now on 15 Senate committees, and he attends every single session of the Senate. So that means that from 9 in the morning till 7 at night, he is a senator in the Philippines, and a very respected senator, I may add. And he trains for a fight, runs in the morning, and goes into the gym at night. Now, I don't know how he can do that. I don't know if it's possible. We'll see on November 5. He loves boxing. He wants to continue as a fighter, but I have never seen a world-class fighter who has a day job that takes all this time while he's competing at the highest level.
Bob, Max Kellerman here. Terrence Crawford was the fighter that a lot of people were talking about, assuming Pacquiao wins, and he's favored to do so. What are the odds that we see, given the fact that whether or not Mayweather says he's fighting, that remains there in potentially at least, which is a huge payday. Given that that payday remains potentially there, what are the odds we see Pacquiao in against Terrence Crawford at some point?
Well, first, Max, let me talk about the Vargas fight.
Sure.
Because the odds started Pacquiao a 10-to-1 favorite. They're down to 5-to-1. Vargas looks terrific. Vargas is bound and determined not only to win the fight, but to knock Pacquiao out. I don't know who's going to win the fight, but one thing I'm sure, it's going to end in a knockout.
Yeah, Vargas is a solid fighter who's gotten better, even shown more power recently, but still Pacquiao is a 5-to-1 favorite at this point. Assuming
Well, it's a 5-to-1 favorite because nobody who's setting those odds have been to the Philippines like I have, and to see the kind of workload he has, I really mean that. I mean, it's crazy, the hours that he puts in. And people say, well, you know, he's an athlete, so how can anybody take him seriously as a senator? But remember, Manny's been all over the world, and a lot of these senators haven't. So they look up to Manny because he has a world view, because he's traveled the world.
So, Bob Arum, you sound worried. Are you worried because you're worried about his schedule and how that may affect him? Or are you more worried because Jesse Vargas is being underrated to some degree in your eyes? Which one is it?
Jesse Vargas has become a terrific fighter. He has a trainer, Dewey Cooper, that has turned him from being a defensive fighter to being an offensive force. And when he won the world title, he knocked out Saddam Ali, who is a terrific fighter, was a member of the U.S. Olympic team, and he knocked Ali out cold. And let me tell you something, the way Manny fights and the way Vargas fights, if Vargas hits him, which he's capable of doing, he could knock Pacquiao out. Remember, Vargas had Bradley out in the last round. The referee stopped the fight by mistake because he thought that the 10-second was the bell. Probably wouldn't have been able to knock Bradley out. There was only 10 seconds left. But what happens if he hit Bradley with that punch in the 10th round rather than the 12th round? He might have.
Vargas has been displaying improved power, not only against Ali, but also against Bradley, no doubt about it, and he's a good fighter. Assuming the favorite wins, though, Bob, is there a Terence Crawford fight in the offing in the not-too-distant future? How realistic would that be to be made? Terence Crawford, one of the pound-for-pound best fighters in the world today, undefeated American champion.
Right. And the thing I like about a Pacquiao-Crawford fight is that it would probably be held at 140 pounds, which is a more natural weight for Manny Pacquiao. He's really not a 147-pounder, although he's been campaigning as one for years. Crawford's a sensational fighter. But Crawford, on December 10th, will have a major fight, which you will be calling, Max, on HBO from Omaha, Nebraska, and will be announcing his opponent. He gets by that fight. Manny beats Vargas. I'd love to make a fight between Manny Pacquiao
and Crawford, by the way, Crawford seeks out the biggest and the best. He only wants to fight the best.
That is correct.
Well, let me say this, guys. Well, Max is calling that fight. I'm calling a fight on November 5th. And I got to ask you this question, Bob Arum. Max brings up Terence Crawford. One of the debates that he and I keep having when it comes to Manny Pacquiao is, how come he keeps mentioning Terence Crawford? How come I haven't heard the name Errol Spence Jr.? I would like to see Pacquiao in a fight like that. What about something like that, Bob?
Love me
Assuming he
wins.
wins.
Wait. Errol Spence looks like he's going to be a terrific fighter. He really does. But he hasn't really proven himself. He hasn't fought for a world title yet. He hasn't fought some of the best fighters in the welterweight division. Can he possibly rise to the top? Can he beat a Garcia? Can he beat a Thurman? We don't know. Probably yes. But the truth is, he's a terrific prospect, but he's still a prospect. Stephen, he's still a prospect. Maybe he has the goods to rise.
Well, he's a contender, but I agree with you. He hasn't proven what Crawford's proven so far. But by the eyeball test, I think we'd all agree, eventually, if they're the same size, Crawford and Spence would be a tremendous matchup. In the meantime, Stephen A., I know you want to talk about Pacquiao.
Well, listen, I'm just looking at Pacquiao, and I'm of this mindset. As I look at Pacquiao, Bob Arum, I'm wondering what the goal is. Because like you said, this schedule probably is not going anywhere. And if you're worried about him with the schedule, assuming, again, he gets past Jesse Vargas, the reality is clear. He's going to need to be locked in and focused on boxing and not being a senator in order to beat some of those elite fighters that are out there. Wouldn't you say that?
No, because he's made a commitment to the Philippine people. He's a very sincere, dedicated guy, and his commitment to the Philippine people to serve as a full-time senator takes precedence over his boxing career. I had to fly over to the Philippines to meet with the president of the Philippine Senate to determine when they're going to take a recess and the only date we could get for Manny was November 5. And the only concession they would make to Manny's boxing career is the session will not start on Monday after the fight because he can't get back. You lose a day traveling over there. It will start on Tuesday. Tuesday, which is Election Day in the United States. We're all particularly great boxing fans and sportsmen will have gone to the polls and will elect the first woman president of the United States.
Bob, before we let you go, as we mentioned, Stephen A. will be calling that fight November 5th. How do you think he's going to do?
Well, let me tell you something. Because we are producing the telecast ourselves. By the way, Stephen, it will be seen by more people than watch the Super Bowl. 100 million people will be watching in China because Zhao Shiming is in one of their two-time gold medal, will be in one of the 100 million projected people. Now we have Stephen A. Smith taking the place of Max Kellerman, and everybody would agree it's a tremendous upgrade.
I think palms just got sweaty and backs got tight like Stephen A.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. I beat Max up. I beat Max up on a regular basis here. I can't say I would do that there. I know my place, Max. I know my place, Max. That wasn't me.
Enough on this show. All right, listen.
That wasn't me, Max.
You still got